Okay, so, hey, how's it going? It's like 3:30 in the afternoon. We had a nice stream today, for anybody wondering. If you ever want to come by a stream, it's in the morning. It's 7 a.m.-ish, Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/Onepeg. If you end up liking the content that I'm about to share with you guys, or like the stuff that we've been doing for the last week, sub the channel, maybe. That would be also really cool. But talking more about everything related to BSG and Nikita and like the bajillion video uploads that I've done about this and the milking of content that we've done about all of this. Today, Nikita addressed everyone that was hanging out in a stream dedicated to Tarkov Arena on the Battlestate Games channel. And chat was frothy. Now, there have been a lot of issues surrounding this Unheard Edition that Tarkov has released. The $250 price tag, the multiple modifications to the pricing model as it pertained to EOD, the access to only PvE stuff, the distress signal in this scav radio that were offering absurd benefits as a pay-to-win thing and originally marketed as something unique, which is now no longer the case since after multiple iterations and a massive backlash from the entire community, really, Nikita ended up modifying all of this to say that these items would now both be available through questing. The scav radio has now become PvE only, or will in the very near future, and the distress signal, while being available in PvP, was something that he swore they would balance. Now, Nikita ended up reiterating a lot of this, and we're going to kind of go through this in a bit of chronological order. The first was when people accused him or said repeatedly that these items that were available in these kits were pay to win.
In the chat that it's like pay to win, pay to win, pay to win that, pay to win this and that. At first, sure.
Now, while he's saying that they'll modify these and make changes to them, it's an unfortunate situation where we are right now, where it doesn't feel like the confidence surrounding the development team is what it once was, especially considering the absurd price tag that is being placed on this highest end edition after seeing them scrub the website in front of all of us in real time. And not for nothing, but the extremely damning Q&A that they just went through, where they basically called anyone that had EOD but had issues with the direction that these guys were moving in as not true believers. In response to the distress signal, specifically the beacon where you get to call in your friends, he had these things to say.
The distress signal thing is like an option for you to call in your friend within the raid. It will be a lot of limitations to that. It will be limited, I guess, for 3 only or 4 only or something like that. And it won't be that easy for you to just call it in quickly. It require different kind of conditions to do it properly. This is a really cool feature for the PvP, and of course, like we decided to make it available for everyone through a quest, and it will be rechargeable too. So, but if something will go wrong and the balance will be shifted, like different reasons, we will of course balance it out.
While I can appreciate the idea behind the dynamism and wanting to shift the tide of combat and whatnot, the problem with this becomes that it verges on the realm of like supernatural to begin with. Secondly, originally this was a unique thing. And while I understand that Nikita doesn't want to have to like relive the negative emotions surrounding the backlash from the community forever, not for nothing, but it hasn't even been a week yet. We obviously all need to learn from our mistakes. I think what the community's looking for here is someone that appears to be genuine in their approach to wanting to make this right. And I also think in the past, some of the heat that Nikita would end up getting from the community, from the player base around like certain decisions and levels of annoyance, the hate that he would get as a result of it wasn't always justifiable. But I think in this case, the emotional response due to passionate people about this video game has been justifiable. The way people have reacted to this, I do not think is outlandish or crazy. There was a genuine concern about the game itself being completely ruined based on these monetarily driven decisions that Nikita and whoever else was making them appears to be okay with. We are not. A bigger problem now is because you've had to backpedal this. You have people that spent the $250 already, or the $100 or the $50, and are being left to feel as though they're not getting what they bought because you offered up unique items with unique benefits to people willing to pay for them, and now they don't get them anymore. Or at the very least, they're forced to have to share those unique benefits with everyone else in the community as long as they're willing to go through the steps. So no matter what side of this fence you are on, you're jaded. That's amazing that BSG was somehow able to pull that off. You managed to piss off even the guys that bought the new kit too. There were several other minutes where he answered several other questions about the Scav Life DLC, being able to create gangs, maybe have Scav-only zones, being able to infiltrate arena matches potentially for the, 25 or so people that are left playing arena. I'm just ribbing a little bit. This, of course, means that at one point in time, either a conscious decision was made prior to, or they finally have realized at this point that the features that were available in this game package were absolutely pay to win. And not for nothing, for those of you on the EOD side of things or the people looking at the EOD package from the outside that say that it's pay to win, it is. The majority of people playing this game are willing to accept that small amount of advantage in exchange for what amounted to a really good video game, even with all of its problems. However, that fine line absolutely was crossed with the newest Unheard of Edition stuff when it was announced. And the loss of the Uniquity, along with these newfound promises of balance, which came very much too late, have left a bad taste in the mouth of most people. This, of course, is completely aside from the absurdity of offering up a package for a video game for $250 to begin with, especially one where you already buy the ability to be able to play it. Not to mention the absurdity that is the idea of having yet another tier of video game package available to a video game with DLC-related content in that video game that has yet to be released in a 1.0 state, which Nikita repeatedly ends up mentioning that they are trying to very much push toward a 1.0 release.
So right now we are focusing on the actual completion of the game. So we go in there, and this is the most important thing.
Which is something that he has said that they've been vehemently trying to push toward since about 2020. Now, at the end of this, Nikita ended up offering up his final thoughts and his version of what would be close enough, I guess, to an apology, where he said, "I'm sorry that all of this stuff had happened."
It's kind of not cool to have all of this community shake up and everything. I'm sorry for that. Again, we will try to move on and just force ourselves to work harder on every single thing that we plan to do this year.
For all of us, we're also sorry that all of this happened, because we ended up, I think, putting our trust in faith in a game dev that swore that certain aspects of this would never happen, swore that microtransactions would never be in the game. But most of us, I think, were of the opinion that we understood, and we get that microtransactions for a live service game in the long term are relatively necessary because, quite frankly, you weren't able to pump out DLC content as fast as we would have liked. That was supposed to be the thing that kept the game afloat, but the schedule, for whatever reason, got pushed back. The game never made it to 1.0 back in like 2020 or 2021, whenever you said that it was going to be by the end of that calendar year. Now we're 3+ years late on that. Even though the game says that it is experiencing record sales and game units year over year, that still apparently hasn't been enough to keep the servers running, so they needed to add microtransactions for this ongoing cost. Fair enough. But in the addition of all of these unique items that you openly admit, Nikita, that you openly admit was in fact pay to win at one point in time, but isn't any longer, we can't help but wonder whether or not the lesson here has been learned, I think. I would like to believe that folks like Nikita or the people at the helm of BSG have learned their lesson in terms of what is and what is not acceptable by that of the player base. But aside from my overwhelming desire to grab a pair of gas can glasses, the cultist jacket, and an M2 sword so that I can run around RPing as Blade for the better part of an afternoon, I have yet to see a reason why a $250 price tag should still be on the Unheard Edition after all of the iterations and modifications that you have done over this period of time. As the Zoomers on Twitter would say, I feel like this one should have been left in the drafts. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this one. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. If you would be so kind as to sub the channel here, that would be amazing. Maybe even hit the bell if you're feeling frisky. Otherwise, you can check me out around 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/onepeg, or I guess I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much, everybody. Peace.